Hi, my name is Andrew, and obviously we all are here gathered here today to mourn the death of Andrew Hyde. He had a lot of impact on everyone's life. He was a very caring, loving, and supportive person who made everyone laugh. He is lived by his mom, Heidi, and his sister, Allie, and the rest of his family and friends as well. He worked through life showing that you should never give up and always give respect to everybody and care about everybody's lives. I know Andrew very well, and he was a great person and always cared for everybody he had. Andrew was born to Jesse Hyde and Heidi Hyde in October 2nd of 1992 in the town of Janesville, Wisconsin. He was a very loving person and he loved his town very much. He loved the small town setting and he always talked about how he would never like the big city, obviously, because of all the traffic and all that he went through. His mom talked about how his family, as soon as he was born, rushed to the hospital and everybody wanted to see him because they knew he would be someone that would be great and had a lot to do in the rest of his life as well. As he grew at a young age, he was always playing outside. His dad was the kind of guy who always made him be outside. The only time he allowed him in the house was to go to the bathroom or eat or anything like that. And if you ever talked to Andrew, he would always talk about how this had a big impact on his life. He was big into sports and he blamed his dad for that in a big way. He was always stuck outside doing everything and was very adventurous and curious, so he was always out in the town playing with the kids. And as he grew older to love sports, he really thought back about how that his dad had a big impact on that as well. His mom always talked about how he always needed to be in everything and was always just needed to be right in everybody's business, and that's the kind of kid he always was. As he went into his middle school years, he was a people person, obviously, and a lot of people grew to like him in different ways. His kind heart and his fun attitude brought a lot of friends his way, and people were just able to knew he was someone that could be supportive to them. He made people laugh and was always there to help out others whenever they needed. When it came down to the classroom work, he was always someone who was right into his books and worked hard, but other kids saw him as someone that was there to help them in that way as well. So as fun as he was in different ways, he was very kind-hearted in the way that he would help anybody in any situation, math, science, anything like that. He was always ready to help them. As he grew into his high school years and his young adults, he showed this in his sports as well. He was always the kid at practices that wanted to have a lot of fun, very energetic, ready to go, but he was also the first person to help someone off the ground, tell him good job, and be there to support the rest of his team as well. He was always good with everyone and didn't want to stick to a certain group as well in high school. He was always the kid that bounced around, didn't have a certain group he wanted to be with. He was just friends with everybody. How they had all these different cliques. He was never really just in a certain clique. He wanted to be with everybody, and just the kind heart he had that everybody saw in him was great, and they knew he was just a good person overall. Um, so as great as that was, and the biggest impact in his life was when his father actually passed. His dad had heart problems eventually, and ended up passing right before his graduation. Now, if you talk to Andrew, this was a big part in his life that really like hit him in different ways. At first, it really crushed him, but eventually, as I'll explain, it really shaped him in a way. His mom would talk about how she would come home wanting to talk about things, and he would just lay around not ready to do anything and just didn't want to be involved as much as he was with friends and different groups like he was before. He quickly started college after high school, and just everything he was going through, he just eventually dropped out and wasn't ready to continue doing everything because of just the impact of everything that was going on in his life. Eventually, his friends brought him up and helped him back to being the kind of kid he was, and the kind of support that they needed to give him was awesome. Um, his friends were the type of people who were just there for him whenever they needed him. Whenever he needed them, they would be right there for him. And this really had changed his life. How he was so supportive throughout his life to them, being there whenever they needed it. Finally, he was getting the support he needed at the certain time that he really needed it. Um, he didn't want, and this really helped change his life as well. He had been working in restaurant for a long time and didn't want to keep working in restaurant anymore and figured out, hey, this isn't for me the rest of my life. I want to do something I'm going to keep enjoying. and so he went eventually jumped back into school for physical education. He loves to do physical education and always wants to help, be supportive to kids, and be there whenever they need it as well, like he needed at his age. Um, he always wanted to be a PE teacher. He loved the thought of jumping into teaching others and just being there to support and care for anybody who ever needed it as well. Um, as he keeps going through life, he would experience more growth through teaching, and he just feels like teaching is something that will always be needed in every way. This is why the crash was so bad for him. He was working back to being the great kid and the great help that everybody loved having, and all of a sudden, bam, it shut down, and it just impacted everyone. He was ready to spread his joy to everybody and help them in any way he could, and it eventually was impacted by this terrible crash, and his degree that he had been working for was quickly crushed as well. Now, for us, we can't think about how sad it is to lose him. We got to think about how Andrew would want it to be for us. He would want us to be happy, go back to being the loving, happy people we are, because that's how he was. He went through bad times and he came back and made it himself, so he would want us to do the exact same. Go back, mourn obviously the bad times, but get through them and become the happy, helpful people we all need, and find our friends that we need for support as well. We all need the friends and support that we can get. So as much as he was a friend for support before, and then he needed friends as well, that's what we all need to do together and gather. So don't cry, don't worry, don't mourn obviously a lot over this, because that's not what he would want. He would want us to all be great and all help anybody that needs our help. He was always, as we know, a loving, touching person who cared for so many lives, and we all need to do the same. He'll always be the one looking down on us and help us whenever we need it in any way that impossible. So for us, let's all remember him, but never forget him, and he'll always be in our memories, but always keep us happy memories.